Nintendo has got all the news, but will we get a Switch too? We still don't know. Sony putting tons of money into Firewalk, and Mass Effect is getting a TV show. We're
Woo-hoo!
excited, guys, because this is the Nerd Cave News, and I am one of your illustrious hosts, Zach Dykes, joined by the bearded Sultan himself, Derek Daniel. Derek, how's it going, my man?
Man, it's going fantastic. It's been, 2 weeks since you looked at me.
Mm-hmm.
It's been lonely. You know what I mean?
It
Like
has been
I
lonely.
know last week was Halloween. Stuff was going on. People were taking. If those of you who have kids, were out there trick or treating or giving candy to them kids. So,
Or
um,
stalking people with the white mask, either a Michael
Myers,
Myers or a Jason,
you know, hopefully not that, because that's, I'll say that'll get you arrested or beaten or shot.
I don't know,
Or
dude. Like, I think that's the day you can blend in pretty well.
I mean, only if you're not menacing. You know what I mean? Like,
No, that you have to be menacing. That's the whole point, Derek. That's the whole point.
I guess. I mean, teach their own. Like I prefer not to do illegal activity. Like I'll scare you. I don't care. Like I'll scare you,
Uh-huh.
but I'll come after you menacingly. But I'm not going to do a random stranger.
Well, that's
I can't
neither
do
here.
that. And depending on what part you live, but you can't do that in Montgomery.
Yeah. Well, guys, this episode is brought to you by the Epic Game Store, where you can support us by using creator code NerdCave at checkout and our wonderful patrons, but more about that later. I got a little bit of some gaming impressions. I've been playing a little new title that has come
Yeah,
out. I've been
came
playing
out last week, right?
Yeah. Been playing Dragon Age the Velguard,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been playing it only on my Steam Deck. I got it on
Yeah.
Steam. I do want to try it out on the PC just to see the difference and everything.
Right.
And guys, I'm gonna just tell you this:
Mm-hmm.
the Steam Deck, game changing.
Mm.
Because I don't play a ton unless like it's like on my backbone or whatever, but then
Right.
I have to make sure the PlayStation is on or this, that, and the other. Like having a dedicated device, and then somebody's gonna be like, "Well, what about the Switch?" Yeah, I like the Switch too, but that's neither here nor there. Like
You like high resolution games. You want to play more than Mario Kart 8 and Pokemon.
Exactly. When I say having, and it's nice to have some like haptic feedback to a degree in it. But dude, the Steam Deck is great. All right. The customization, like when I turn on the Steam Deck, it literally has Thor and Kratos fighting.
Oh,
Like
that's nice.
as it turns on, and then when I turn it off, it has Itachi doing the Tsukiyomi.
That's cool. All
Yeah.
right, I like that.
Yeah. So those little touches like that are pretty dope. But to Dragon Age the Velguard, I've probably played 8 hours or maybe even more so far on the game. Saturday, I put a good chunk of time into playing. Played some on Friday night, some on Sunday as well, and I played throughout the week a little bit here and there. But being able to, and for all the people that know, if you know, going to the bathroom and playing a video game makes things so much easier.
What up, Mike?
Makes things just flow so much better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, Derek? Just
Sure.
flows so much better. So just being able to sit down and play a little bit. And the thing about Dragon Age, like there are like side quests, but I feel like I'm golden pathing a lot more of it because I don't feel like there's a ton of side quests. I don't think that this is really an RPG.
Really?
Yeah,
That's interesting.
the reason why I say this is like you can't really be mean to anybody.
Oh, they took away the karma system?
Yeah, it's like you can be stern with somebody,
Yeah.
or you can it's either stern, joking or positive, essentially. You
Okay.
can't like renegade them. You can't like, shoot somebody in the head, punch them, throw them off a roof or anything like that.
Huh.
It's just like you're kind of stern, like
Yeah.
you can romance people still, but that's really about it.
Yeah.
So like,
Huh.
yes, I was able to make my character. I was trying to make somebody from Aragon, but it turned into, you probably don't know who I'm talking about, but for the people that like Doctor Who, she looks like River Song from Doctor Who. So I'm playing as a mage, which is pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
Combat's pretty basic.
Yeah. Which we
feel
saw
like-
that from the Summer Game Fest trailer.
Yeah, like there are two different weapons that you get with all classes. Like with the mage, you do have the staff, which is more long range, and they're a little bit more powerful but slower spells. And then you have like a orb that is more medium to short range, and you have a dagger that you can use. So it's pretty cool to be able to change that style. I'm definitely more orb and dagger, just because like a lot of people like to rush you because you are a mage. I do like that you can combine attacks with like your companions and everything. It reminds me a lot of Marvel Ultimate Alliance in that regards. But the writing, I feel like, is probably some of the weakest parts of the game.
Oh, ouch. And I was going to ask that because I know with BioWare games, the storytelling, the dialogue choices are the most integral part of their games.
Yeah, like the overarching story is fine. It's more of the dialogue. It feels kind of stilted at times. And like, I know a lot of people like, oh, this is like super political and it's pushing this and that and the other. I don't like, there is stuff in there that some people won't be okay with, depending on which way you lean and all of that. But it's not even that stuff that even concerns me. I feel like the delivery is bad in places, and then just the words that they're having to say. It feels like George Lucas level of writing in episode 1 through 3.
Yeah, I was going to say the prequel trilogy.
Especially like older Anakin, like trying to come on to Padme, like, your skin is soft. Like it's kind of rough in some places, but all of that aside, I am enjoying the journey because it's been a very long time since I played a Dragon Age game. It's been like 10 years since Inquisition came out in 2014, I want to say.
Yep.
It came out like right before Amy and I started dating.
Wow.
Yeah. So
what you're saying is like this is more akin, like in a better way, like a more improved Dragon Age 2, because Dragon Age 2, the story was the weakest part, but the combat had improved to what more people had like wanted it to be, rather than the turn-based in Origins.
Yeah. The combat is definitely the shining part in here. I would say it's definitely more like 2, but the environments in this game are really pretty and they're very interesting.
I was seeing Greg Miller like leading up to its release, just like screenshots is like it's just hauntingly beautiful. So
yeah, and again, I'm playing on the Steam Deck, so I'm not getting the craziest. Like I'm playing on medium on Steam Deck just to make sure that it runs well. And even like, dude, there's times where like I was getting like 15 frames. It still looked really good.
Yeah,
like I know
that's
some
impressive.
people like. They're like, how'd you play with 15 frames? Because I'm a man. I don't need 60. I only need 2. But like, I feel like there are better stories out there. And I know between you and I, stories are the reason why we play games.
Correct.
The whole Dreadwolf thing, like, is like a super side to all of this. There's like 2 elven gods that get released. This is literally the first 30 minutes of the game, and those are your 2 bads. And then The Dreadwolf, you very rarely get to interact with him.
Okay.
It just kind of feels like an old game.
Oh.
Like the style of it. And I'm not even comparing this with Baldur's Gate 3. I have not played Baldur's Gate 3.
Right.
But if like comparing it to God of War or even Spider-Man, and I know people are going to be like, you're comparing it to a first party game. This is a $70 game.
Yeah.
It's going to get compared to another $70 game in my book. With it being less RPG, which you do get dialogue choices, I feel like the setup and the way missions work so much better in those games, even, you know, The Last of Us and all of that, because you will get like side quests that you have to go back to the same place after you finished a major mission, instead of everything kind of going like, I'm trying to think of a good way of it. Like, there's so many RPGs where it's like, oh, you've got all of these missions. Even, dude, Star Wars: The Old Republic, you would pick up all of these missions, and when you went into an area, you would just kind of do all of them at the same time. That's not how this is done. It's very disjointed.
Huh. Interesting.
But to say all of that, I am enjoying my time.
Yeah. So in other words, like the game, if you're a big stickler on combat, this game is for you for sure.
Yeah, I think there's some definite, like, I'm like 11, like level 11, and at level 20 you open up the specializations. Like, you can be a necromancer or whatever.
Oh,
there's like 3 main branches. So I'm still working on like my base skills and all of that. And I do like, you can re-roll your skill points for free. There's no penalty.
Good.
So you could get like halfway through the game, like, I want to try something else. You could totally re-roll your character and then be able to have a totally new play style.
I like that.
Yeah. So my kind of, you know, first impressions, because I am going to play through the rest of the game. It is fun. I don't think it's worth $70 though.
Got you.
And I know it's sold really well, but I don't think it's worth $70 just because the story side of it, the writing is a little lackluster, but it has been a lot of fun to play, especially on the Steam Deck. So, good investment.
I'm looking forward to next week with my next game I'm looking forward to is Lego Horizon Adventures, which is next week. So
I totally forgot about that game.
Yeah.
Well, guys, let's get into the gaming discussion this week. We got some Nintendo Switch 2 news. First up, analysts say that the Switch 2 announcement now unlikely before the end of 2024.
Nintendo is unlikely to announce the Switch 2 before the end of this year, according to analysts. Despite declining sales of the current Switch, Nintendo president Shuntaro Furukawa confirmed that the next-gen console will be revealed by March 2025, but provided no specifics. Analysts like Hideki Yasuda suggest that an announcement this year is improbable to avoid distracting from holiday sales. This means fans might have to wait until at least January for news, with the console possibly releasing after April. In the meantime, Nintendo plans to maximize the aging Switch with upcoming exclusives like Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, Pokemon Legends ZA, and Metroid Prime 4 Beyond slated for next year. No surprise here. Yes, you could hope for a Game Awards announcement when it wasn't going to be announced at Summer Game Fest. We all expected, all right, it'll be end of the year, but going back to the Switch release. And Nintendo's kind of done this in the most part for every new console release, or at least their most recent ones. They wait till January. Like when a new console is going to drop, they wait till that January to announce it and then give it a date. With the Switch, it was announced in early January and given a late March release date. So I don't know about the March release date. April, I would expect it to be a spring announcement because that did so well for the Switch last time. But I expect the same path, Pathway this time around for the Switch 2. So no surprises here. It's what Nintendo does. I mean, it's just like Sony's state of play releases and like Nintendo's directs. They have certain months where you're guaranteed a state of play or direct to air. It's just the roadmap they go along with.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember when the Switch got announced in that January, I was in Tampa for a conference, and I remember them dropping it while I was at like a dinner, and I was like, oh my gosh. And it was such a big thing, and like nobody around me cared because they were all band directors. But then it coming out in March, like that's a perfect timing because so many people are going to be getting money back from tax season.
Exactly.
And that is prime hunting fields for Nintendo, 100%.
Right. For sure.
So, with that, I do think it is the best way to go about like not confusing people with a holiday. And I also think once they announce it, they will probably drop the price once it comes out. They'll drop the price of like the OLED and all of that, because a lot of these games like Pokemon Legends Z&A will probably be a cross-gen, so will Metroid Prime 4.
Yep.
And they will like the Switch One will be kind of the step into that thing. And mom and pops out there that are like getting kids consoles at this point, they're not up on the news. They just know that they're going to be getting a Switch for the kid. They've been begging for years now. It's like, well, I guess we'll get them one now because they won't lose it. They're old enough or whatever. So
well, and not only that, but it's like one, they don't have a date. So it's like if Johnny or Susie are asking for it now, why wait till next year when you don't even know a date? Or yes, we know it's a thing, but it's not officially a thing yet. So it's like you don't even know it's a thing. Like the Switch is here now, and plus, anyone who's wanting to buy at the end of a console life cycle, like anyone, even if people who keep up with the news like us, right? Who want to buy a console, but there's a new one looming on the horizon. If you're buying it for your kids, go ahead and buy it now. Like even with a new console coming out, because the library is the biggest it'll ever be. Because when a new console drops, it'll be bare bones, like some of them gimmicks, one or two exclusives, and then the rest third party or ports. So why waste your money buying ports when you can just buy them for the Switch and buy way more other game options currently?
Yeah. Well, that does bring us to our next story. The Switch 2 will officially be backwards compatible with original Switch games. Nintendo confirms the Switch 2 will be backwards compatible because it was there twice for some reason.
Nintendo President Shuntaro Furukawa announced that the upcoming Switch 2 will support original Switch games and include Nintendo Switch Online. So why it matters, current Switch users can carry over their game libraries, enhancing the value of the new console. And what they're saying is the Switch software will also be playable on the successor to Nintendo Switch. With the Switch Online will be available on the successor as well, Furukawa said during the company's corporate management policy briefing. So this is huge. I know, like Sony's been back on the bandwagon with it. Xbox has jumped in. It was, since Xbox One has been big with backwards compatibility and continued it with the Series X and S. So it's only a matter of time for Nintendo did it. And Nintendo, kind of like Sony did with the PS2 games and some PS3, they've done it, but they put it behind a paywall. And then so has Nintendo. Nintendo, like, oh, you want to play NES, SNES games, GameCube, that kind of thing. Well, you need to kind of pay for it with the Switch Online. Now, hopefully, they can get the servers better running with the Switch on Switch 2, but that only time will tell on that part. But this is huge. This is a huge win for Nintendo. Hopefully, they don't do a weird Nintendo decision and have some weird, funky login or inscription key that you got to have for your library to work on the Switch 2. Hopefully it's just as easy as like, oh, sign in with your same account information you did on the Switch, and voila, there you are. All the games you purchased are there for you to play day one on Switch 2. But the Switch Online, having the backwards compatible with that kind of stuff. So like that's a huge win. Now, hopefully they'll continue to, import on that. Which also raises the question. I think not raises it, but I think kind of answers it, that I think we're going to stick with the cartridge system for the Switch 2.
Yeah, and I know some people are like, "Oh, is that how it's going to be?" If it's going to be backwards compatible, it's going to be fully backwards compatible. In my thought, like, because Nintendo players, Nintendo people tend to buy physical over digital. Like they are way more physical with their games than Xbox or PlayStation, because it's more of a collector's kind of thing to them.
Well, and I mean that, just to butt in just for a minute, that's also because now, yes, they've done it more on the Switch than they have other previous Nintendo consoles, but that's also because, they buy more physical because Nintendo hardly ever puts their games on sale. So it's like, hey, if I'm going to pay $60 physical or digital, it doesn't matter because it's going to stay the same price. Whereas like PlayStation and Xbox, if you wait a while, it'll go on sale digitally and also physically, but it also depends on what the better deal is.
Yeah, and them keeping their value means you can trade or whatever, you might get $2 compared to, them taking you out back and beating you up, at that one place. So I think this is a good thing. I know we've discussed it time and time again. Are we getting backwards compatibility with, as they put it, the Nintendo Switch successor, I mean, and I think it has to happen at this point, just because the Switch is the best selling console of all time. At this point, it's a no-brainer. Plus, let's say, little Johnny gets a Switch Lite. The parents are like, yeah, I can spring, however much a Switch Lite is. I have no idea at this point.
Probably $100 now.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I can get a used Switch Lite on Facebook Marketplace. We get, some games on there. We get the Mario and the Mario Kart or whatever. And then when the Switch 2 comes out, they'll be able, I'll swing for getting a new one then, and they'll be able to play whatever games we had on the Switch Lite and all of that. So I think that's awesome. Good job, Nintendo.
Yeah.
Don't screw it up from here.
Right. Now, the one big faux pas they'll, well, not a faux pas, but the one Nintendo decision they'll probably make is bundle Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Super Ultra Edition with the Switch 2.
Oh, 1,000%, dude. Why would they make another Mario Kart?
Right. It's the best-selling Mario Kart ever.
Yeah, and the 8 makes an infinity.
Right.
Why make another one? Dan says it would be nice if it was backwards compatible with previous Nintendo consoles. I know that's asking for too much, but it would be nice. Well, and that's kind of like what Derek was saying with the Nintendo Online. They are like, they've done the SNES, the NES, the not GameCube. They're working on 64. That one. The 64 and then the Game Boy games. So they are adding those, but they are putting it behind that paywall. It would be nice to see more of those games available on the store. Again, Derek and I are not hardcore Nintendo players, but I dabble.
Yeah. We respect Nintendo.
Yeah. Now, I will say, Echoes of Wisdom looks really good, and I really wanted Princess Peach Showtime to be good, and it was all right. It was adequate. Yeah. And it wasn't great.
No.
And you know what else isn't great, Derek? What's been going over on Firewalk side of the thing? This time for the PlayStation News. The CWA, they're not a wrestling affiliation, guys. I'll let you know that. The CWA claims Sony's decision to shutter Firewalk is down to further its monopoly position in the industry.
So, of course, we talked about a couple weeks ago, Sony has closed Firewalk and Neon Koi. After that, which are two of their development studios. Why it matters, the Communication Workers of America alleges that this move is an attempt by Sony to further its monopoly position in the video game industry. So Firewalk released its debut title, Concord, late in August, which was a massive flop and reportedly cost Sony $200 million. The game was taken offline, ending hopes for a free-to-play revival with its permanent shutdown. And Sony then announced the closures earlier that week, sparking criticism from industry observers. So what they're saying is the CWA argues that dissolving studios outside Sony's PlayStation exclusive ecosystem indicates a move to strengthen its monopoly. And quote, CWA plans to raise the anti-competitive impacts of Sony's increasing monopoly and Sony power with the appropriate antitrust regulators, policymakers, and stakeholders, the organization has stated. So the big picture in all this is collective bargaining empowers workers to negotiate fair compensation and have a voice in decisions affecting their employment. The closure highlight concerns over how major industry players impact competition and workers' rights. And what's next is the CWA intends to bring these concerns to antitrust regulators, policymakers, and stakeholders to address Sony's growing influence in the industry. Meanwhile, Firewalk Studios posted a farewell message on social media reflecting on its brief history.
Now,
Obviously,
before you start,
yeah,
I want you just to imagine the CWA is a wrestling organization
yeah.
and they talk like Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh yeah,
Just putting that out there.
yeah.
Keep going, Derek.
So they're kind of. It seems to me, from what I read from this, is that they're kind of comparing Sony shuttering to Microsoft acquiring Activision in the sense of like they're just trying to like take over, like be a big mega corporation, or like, you know, I don't know. I don't know if it's necessarily that, but they're kind of trying to put it in that same basket. It feels like.
Well, Firewalk was purchased by Sony,
Right.
and then they put out this Bobo game,
Yeah.
and then they get closed. And it's like, okay, I understand where the CWA is coming from, brother.
Mhm.
But when you put in $200 million of your own money, you're not just like, oh, I'm going to put them up and let them fail, and then I'm going to close them because I want a monopoly. Like, I don't
Yeah.
feel like that tracks
Hmm.
compared to like, oh, we're just buying up studios left and right, because
Right.
Microsoft and PlayStation have both done a lot more purchasing than I think they should,
Oh yeah, for sure.
you know, over the last 5 years. I don't know. What, Derek, do you feel like they're trying to become a monopoly, like by shutting down this studio? Because nobody was complaining while it was open.
Right. And I don't think so. I think this is just a reach by the CWA to try and like go to court over this, or like try and like get Sony in trouble. I think they're just trying to be whistleblowers on this, but I don't think it's necessarily a monopoly. I just think in all honesty, it's a bad investment by Sony. Now, whether that was of Sony's own creation is another argument, you know, because, you know, we all know now they were working on this before Sony acquired them, but now we don't know how big of an influence Jim Ryan had in saying like, the concept of your game is good, but we need to make it live service. Like, we need you to make it different to fit our agenda. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't know how much influence that has. You know, we'll find out years down the road, you know, if Jim Ryan like screwed the pooch with Firewalk. But I do think it was just a bad investment by Sony. Now, should they have shuttered them probably so fast? I don't think so. I think they should have given them another shot, because you see Media Molecules still around. They took 10 years to make a game. Now, yes, Dream, again, I say Dreams' creation tools were great. They were the best part about the game.
Yeah.
But when you take it and you don't make a big ROI for how long you took for it, that's a major disappointment. And, you know, it's a major disappointment. And they went ahead and took the they shut down the creation tools, or like they shut down some part of it.
The all
not that
part of the game.
Yeah, like a couple years after its launch.
Yeah.
And then you have that studio up in Pacific Northwest Oregon with Bend Studio. Days Gone was a massive flop. Like, it felt like an early PS3 game or style game out of time. You know, like it had a good bone structure. It just didn't, you know, have a good execution. And they're still around. They're making another game. You know, Sony's given their other internal studios that have been with them for a long time a shot. So why pull the trigger so fast on a studio you just acquired?
Yeah. Well, and I feel like some of that is the leadership is very different. Again, this decision, to do Concord and all of that was not under Herman Holst, and I can't remember the guy's name. That's the other part of the CEO side of things. But their decision to shutter the studio is was kind of shocking, to be honest, but it wasn't at the same time, because I feel like they're not playing around.
Right. Well, and also again, like I failed to mention too, it's like, I think, but again, they shouldn't have pulled the trigger so fast, but part of it was that $200 million price tag. If it wasn't for that, I think they would have given them another shot, but it's because they've invested so much flipping money into them, and they shuttered the game 2 weeks after launch. They're just like, tax write-off, just close it, tax write-off.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of like WB with like the Batgirl movie that they just like canned. Now, thinking a little bit further on this, okay, it's like, I know they were talking about the CWA, the wrestling organization, CWA. Don't come after me, CWA. I'm trying to brand Joe in a way that makes you sound really cool right now. With them talking about like making it more difficult to bargain and unionize and all of that for workers, I do understand, because if you make it where there's only X amount of development jobs available, that does affect like the power of the employee, the workers, to be able to ask for more.
Right.
It's like, if you want to work, you're going to work for how much I'm willing to pay you.
Right.
So I do understand that side of things. And some people are probably like, yeah, well, here comes Sony's apologist, and it's not that, because y'all go check back a year where we're just like railing on Jim Ryan. I feel like there's a better way to come at this, and it's not just a Sony thing. It is a whole industry-wide issue.
Because we're just so hard on Xbox and, Nintendo when they do this kind of stuff.
Yeah. So that's what's going on over at Sony. We do have some PlayStation quickies that I want to hear too.
And mainly because today the PS5 Pro launched. So mainly all that has to do with PS5 Pro. So first off, PlayStation boss Hideaki Nishino says
that's his name.
I got you. Yeah. Says the PS5 Pro began development before the PS5 base model even launched. The PS5 Pro allows you to take screenshots in 8K resolution. The PS5 Pro upscales unpatched 1080p PS4 games and enhanced image quality option. PS5 Pro has 18 gigabytes of RAM thanks to the additional 2 gigabytes of GDDR5 allocation. PS5 Pro Boost Mode takes full advantage of GPU, improves resolution and performance on unpatched PS5 games up to their cap. PS5 disk drive is the latest target of scalpers ahead of the Pro launch. And lastly, PS5 Pro has 1.89 terabytes of usable storage.
Dope. Do want to hit a comment that just came in from Dan the man. Dan says unions are nice when they run well, but I feel more often than not the unions end up fighting for themselves rather than the workers they represent.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate truth behind a lot of that. Is 9 times out of 10 unions start for a good reason, and then as they grow and they get money, it's just like government. There's always some sort of corruption and power that gets involved with all of that. And, it's sad, but this is how it is, unfortunately.
Corporate America.
Unless you hold people accountable and the bylaws and the ways the unions work are, can keep people accountable, then that will happen. Plus, a lot of times when people unionize, the company will get rid of you.
Yep.
They'll just clean the house and then start over. I remember, I think it was about a year ago, Google, there was like a bunch of union workers, like they just unionized, and they're literally at a like meeting, like a town hall meeting. They were like in Texas or whatever.
Yeah.
And then like somebody came up as like, hey, we just got fired. Like they were like petitioning like the city or whatever. That's like, yeah, we just got fired. Like the people
Wow.
that just unionized and
Yeah.
everything. And even with IGN, like they unionized, and then right after that, there was huge layoffs over at IGN.
Yeah, fair point.
So it like unions are an interesting concept, but 9 times out of 10 they don't work.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Humans are involved.
Right.
That's the unfortunate part of it.
Unions are like petitions. Petitions used to mean something back in the day, just like unions, like especially for like the steel worker industry. Like they were huge back in the day. But nowadays they don't have as much pull or hardly any pull as they once did.
Yep. My grandfather, he was part of a union and the Boilermaker union. And like because of that, he was able to get tons of work across the US doing welding and all of that. But that's just not the way things are done right now. But I do think we have to hold companies and corporations accountable. And that, of course, is what the CWA, you know, the Controller Wrestling Authority. I don't I'm
Communication Workers of America.
Yeah, brother. Like they're trying to do that. So good on you. Now let's talk about what you can do to help support us at the Nerd Cave. You should go over and subscribe right now, if you haven't already, to the Nerd Cave. We do awesome stuff here. We make shows just like this one each and every week. We do anime discussions.
Yeah.
We do all that stuff. My voice cracks. We do all that stuff. We also play games here, and we love to hang out and chat. So go support us. Leave us a 5-star review on podcast services. Nothing less. If your mama didn't tell you, I'm going to tell you right now. If you don't have anything good to say, don't say nothing
it
at all. Yeah. So go support us. You can also check out the podcast here on YouTube. That is the most up-to-date version of the podcast. You know, Kevin, we brought Kevin back on, guys. Kevin has sucked. Let's just be honest. Kevin
we sent Kevin away to reevaluate himself.
Yeah, and you know, you try to give grace to people, but Kevin just keeps, you know.
Yeah,
he's part of a union, and it's really hard to get rid of him. It's really hard to get rid of him. He's like the 7-year itch; it just doesn't go away. So, guys, subscribe and all that good stuff. You are our only marketing tool for this show, so help us out. Share, like, all that good stuff.
Throw us $1.
Somebody. Yeah. All that good stuff. Find somebody that you know likes video games, you know, as
or
King of the
animes.
Hill. Yeah, or the animes, you know, as Hank Hill once said, and share the show with them. Let's move to our last story of the night. Mass Effect TV series is now officially in development at Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon. Hopefully they don't can this one. And it's appropriate because this was announced today on N7 Day. They said not to expect a big blowout, but they had to have something, and this was it. Variety and IGN confirmed the news, with Daniel Casey, which did 10 Cloverfield Lane, set to write and executive produce. EA BioWare's Michael Gamble and Avi Arad, also working on the Legend of Zelda live-action movie, are also producing. No plot details yet, but the show will be based on the Mass Effect game franchise, though it's unclear if it'll follow the game's story or explore new territory in the same universe. The show comes as Amazon's Fallout series just got renewed after strong success, while fans continue waiting for updates on Mass Effect 5. So this is exciting. You know, obviously, you know, Fallout was a massive success for them. You know, doing another big, like, obviously it's not Bethesda, but doing another big like RPG series with this one set in space is huge. Like it's definitely, you know, it's definitely warranted. Like, you know, whether they'll go the Battlestar Galactica route or they'll do something, you know, original or whatnot remains to be seen. But Zach, I want to hear your thoughts because you're the Mass Effect fan. You played all of them, even the terrible one, Andromeda. You know, like, what are your thoughts on this, and what would you like to see? Because Fallout did its own original thing. It didn't follow any of, like, it had, you know, characters that had like significant, you know, callbacks in the series, but they didn't follow any one particular game in the series. Do you think Mass Effect should follow that, or do you think this should be a Shepard story?
I'm kind of of two minds here.
Hmm.
I do feel like the Mass Effect universe is rich and diverse,
Hmm.
just like the Fallout show
Right.
did as well. It would be nice to see a Shepard story just because it is so interesting and it gives you a lens to look through
Right.
it. Because
Well, plus, in
Fallout, go
I was
ahead.
gonna say Shepard's a more iconic character than just someone in a vault armor in Fallout. Because Fallout, you're just creating your own character, whereas
Exactly.
Shepard's like the cover character.
Yeah, exactly. Like Mass Effect, yes, you're playing like a role playing game. You're making your version of Shepard, but it is Shepard throughout one
Hmm.
through three. Andromeda, we're not counting here.
Yeah.
But even in Andromeda, they reference the first three, like, oh, this is what happened in the past and
Hmm.
everything. So it would be cool to see. I feel like that does pigeonhole them a little bit more, unlike what they did with Fallout. It's like they had the universe, how it works, but it was a different place. It was over in like
Hmm.
Hollywood and everything. But if they didn't do that, I think doing the first contact war between the
Mm.
humans and the Turians, like that would be a very interesting, like they're finding the first Mass Effect relay, like it would set that up, and then just kind of the tumultuous part of like coming into this bigger universe than what humans ever thought, and
Hmm.
all the politics that you could do with all of that. And then you see the specters, and you could do a lot of cool things with the trappings of what Mass Effect is. And then you could spin off into so many different places, because with Fallout, what they've done is they've set themselves up to be able to tell a lot of different stories past just what Lucy does in the Fallout TV show. They're able
Hmm.
to, you had the Brotherhood, you had the Ghoul, but now
Hmm.
they can do so many different things with that show. And I think not being burdened with just the regular story that we've all experienced, because everybody's going to be comparing that.
Oh yeah.
And unlike Last of Us, which is a really tight story, I feel like Mass Effect is so broad that it would be harder to fit within like one season be, Mass Effect 1 or whatever.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of opportunities. I think the better bet, even though I want the Shepard story, I think doing something that's outside of that or before that would
Mm.
actually be the better play for
Yeah.
Amazon.
Cool. And so yeah, I mean, I agree. It can go either way. For for me personally, like obviously, I haven't delved in the Mass Effect games like you have. I kind of want to,
You should,
but
man.
I know, but there's a lot of stuff I need to, I need to get into. But it's a time constraint thing. But
Watch that One Piece.
well, it's a grind, man. It's a grind. Um, but where was I going with this? Oh, but my intriguing thing will be, will the now obviously yes, Andromeda kind of neutered the karma system a lot. Like there was a
Hmm.
karma system, but it was basically a shell of itself.
Yeah.
Do you think they, and I know a Fallout, didn't have a karma system, but do you think, I don't know if it's necessarily good for a TV show, but do you think they kind of play any sort of way into a karma system per chance? Not let's say like a Bandersnatch that Netflix did, where you interact with the
Yeah.
stuff you're watching. But do you think they kind of hint at, oh, like we're going to go more of a Paragon route this season, or more of like the good route, or whatever?
I feel like TV shows is a lot harder to do that. Kind of
Yeah.
goes to Dan's point here. Like my playthrough of Mass Effect, my Shepard like looks like the basic Shepard that is on the covers and everything. Some
Right.
played with female Shep.
Hmm.
My Shepard was a renegade. I'm talking
Yeah.
about like we're punching people in the face. We're, all of these things as Jess and the family jump into the stream. I was a renegade. I was a loose
You
cannon, if you
never.
will. But I know that's not everybody's playthrough. Like I always go dark side when I'm able to. I feel like for story wise, they would probably go more of the normal hero way of doing it than because anti-heroes do well, but I don't think like
For a TV show.
for a TV show, like I
Yeah.
think they need like an underdog or just like your run of the mill hero. And
Yeah.
if they do shepherd, there are like specific things that are decided in the game. Like there's a point where it's like you've got to decide between Rex, like are you able to save him? Are you choosing between these two different just the grown-ups here? Yeah, like I kicked a dude out of a window in Mass Effect 2. Like he was giving me sass, boom, out the window. All right. Yeah, like I'm talking about like we
This is
renegade
Sparta?
in here. Yeah, like but in the first one you've got to choose between like two crew members who you're going to save. So it's like I feel like that's going to be harder because it's like, well, I saved this person and that person, I hated that person or whatever. So like tying it to Shepard, I feel like is a little bit harder than just, again, like I said earlier, like Last of Us, you didn't really have a choice. It's you're playing this experience, and that's why it did so well as a narrative story. Mass Effect, on the other hand, is all about choice. Like there's no illusion of choice. There is choice here.
Right.
So yeah, I think they're going to have to do something different on that.
Yeah. So, well, cool. So, obviously we didn't get a lot of information. They just did a confirmation today for N7 Day. We don't even have a year. It'll probably be 2026, 2027 before we even, hear about it or like see a trailer about it. Hopefully
or it gets canceled.
Well, I don't know. I feel like if Fallout did well, they'll probably give Mass Effect at least a fair shake. But it also depends on. I mean, they've got some fire, huh?
Horizon was with Amazon and it got
true,
canceled.
but I mean, again, you've got Daniel Casey, Michael Gamble, Avi Arad. So I mean, you've got some pretty not heavy hitters, but powerful names behind, like at least recognizable names behind this project. So hopefully it'll be stable enough to go, see a premiere. But only time will tell.
Only time will tell. My question, Derek, who do you want to play if we did Shepard?
Yeah.
Who would you want to play Shepard?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh man, I don't know. Like, I don't know who would fit that mold, honestly. Well, who would you pick?
I know who I'd pick. Henry Cavill.
Well, that's only because he does the RPGs, like he's big on them RPGs, but he kills it. He would kill it.
He would kill it, and he's got the right build.
Yeah.
He would respect the lore.
For sure.
And I think he would just do awesome at it. Like he can be funny. Like there's like a silliness to some things in Mass Effect. The bug eyes.
Yeah.
My eyes. I don't know if you know anything about that, but
I've seen the memes.
Yeah, but I think he would be great. The dude. Oh! I got a better one. One. The best one.
Okay.
The dude that played, oh gosh, he was the freeze dude in Flash.
Oh, Wentworth Miller.
Yes.
He got Captain Cold.
Awesome.
That would be good.
Yeah. He would be awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, he's such a good. Yeah, Captain Cold. Wentworth Miller. Yeah. I'm gonna just pull this up so everybody can see what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Nah, man. Let's just go with the fan pick right now. The hotness. Pedro Pascal. I'm kidding.
Dude, let the dude rest.
I know.
Let the dude rest. Okay, so poop. Did that wrong. Let's try this again. All right. So this is Commander Shepard. All right. This is what he looks like. All right. Everybody gets the picture here. Commander Shepard. Wentworth Miller.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
just saying.
Yeah. It could definitely work for sure.
Just saying. And he's got some good acting chops, dude.
He does.
He's got some good acting chops.
He was a good anti-hero in Flash for sure.
Yeah, and like
the second best thing next to Tom Cavanaugh.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm just saying, dude. People are going to sleep on it, but this is the choice.
I agree. So I'm not mad at it.
This is the choice.
So
all right. Like his whole like character development and everything in the Flash.
Yeah.
So good, dude.
Yeah. So. Huh.
Oh, Channing Tatum. Yeah, like.
Yeah,
I love
that was the first thing that come to mind.
Jess is bringing up Magic Mike. Which I like. Some people are saying Channing Tatum, but like I feel like he's too big of an actor, and plus he's not that serious of an like like when I see Channing Tatum now, it's more of jokey kind of.
Yeah, it's all comedy.
Yeah. Just saying, guys. This is the pick. All right, this is the pick.
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman. No.
I know. I'm kidding.
No. No. That's the pick, Derek. 1,000%.
Magical Michael, more tasteful.
I don't think it's more tasteful, but whatever helps you sleep at night, Jess, you do you, boo. You do you. Just like you can go over to patreon.com/nerdcave and toss us a few dollars. Derek might even dance for you guys.
Don't expect much.
There he goes. The dastardly Derek. I was, instead of Magic Mike. The dashing Derek. Dapper Derek.
Don't quit your day job.
Oh, I did. I already did. I put in my resignation.
Well. Need to rescind that 2-week notice, bud.
Guys, go over and support us. Keep the lights and mics on. We're a 1.5 person business here. I approve the above message.
Nothing to do with the fact that your name's in it, but each their own.
Have you told Amy yet? No, I didn't tell her. She learned right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's witnesses in case she hits you.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I want to keep the camera rolling. So, oh God, she's coming at me now. I'm just kidding.
A 24-hour stream, guys. This is what it really.
Yeah, guys, go over and support us. We're a 1.5 person team here. We're trying to make something awesome here. So help us and go over support us. Any tier that fits your budget. We all know that everybody, times are hard, but it helps us out a ton when you go over and support us there. So patreon.com/nerdcave. You get access to, what's magical is the people that love anime getting to eat good over there because they still have the Jujutsu Kaisen review. They still have episode 2 of Eat Sleep Anime. They still have episode 3 of Eat Sleep Anime.
Yeah.
They
got a Vinland Saga review.
The Vinland Saga review. They even have the YouTube banned Demon Slayer trailer reaction that we did. So if you're into all that good stuff, go over there, support. It helps us a ton. And Zesty's
And
These are our Magic Mike names, apparently. Zesty Zach and Darling Derek take on the big city in a new series.
that reminds me of what was that old Cartoon Network show, Sheep in the Big City?
Sheep in the big city. What in the
Yeah.
world?
That was an old Cartoon Network show, my guy.
How do I not? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one was short-lived. This
Oh,
this
yeah.
show sucked.
Oh yeah, it did.
That's why I remember the sheep.
Yeah.
But yeah, that show sucked. Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that one in a minute, says Dan.
Well, Zesty Zach. Actually, Zesty Zach, Zesty Zach 08 was my AOL name back in the day.
Wow, you want to talk about
Yeah.
a throwback?
Yeah, my AOL and my Yahoo Messenger name.
You old fart.
Yep. Had my heart broken a many time on that. One, a two.
Oh God.
Guys, go over there, patreon.com. Support us there because it's time for the Patreon quick hits.
Starting off, Troy Baker wasn't Todd Howard's original choice to star in Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. The House of the Dead is getting a new movie with Paul W.S. Anderson at the helm. Ubisoft reportedly planning to do a new Assassin's Creed every 6 months for the next decade. Oh boy. Well, Ubisoft be doing Ubisoft, I guess. Following that, Assassin's Creed Shadows is set to push the series' modern-day story in a new direction. Remedy has recouped most of the development and marketing expenses for Alan Wake 2. Dragon Age: The Veilguard launch beats Jedi Survivor to make it EA's biggest ever single-player game on Steam. Excuse me. Dragon Age: The Veilguard DLC has been ruled out as BioWare turns to Mass Effect 5. Dragon Age Remastered Collection is unlikely as knowledge of Eclipse Engine has dwindled. BioWare's John Epler says Mass Effect Andromeda was a better game than its reception suggested. Sure. Apex Legends drops Steam Deck support over rampant cheating. Apex Legends' new update takes players back to the beginning with the return of the original Kings Canyon map and more. Former Arcane Studios president says Microsoft closing the studio was stupid and not a good decision. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater looks to keep faithful to original without feeling like an old game. Square Enix games to release simultaneously on each platform more and more, says Yoshi P. It's early, but Pokemon trading card game Pocket already looks like a smash hit. Following that, Pokemon TCG Pocket gets first PvP event today. Fortnite announces music-inspired OG Chapter 2 remix season with spots from Snoop Dogg, Eminem, and more. GTA Online on PC is finally getting current-gen console features in 2025. Ubisoft appoints a new director for Star Wars Outlaws. Resident Evil 9 rumors point to Jill and Leon as main characters, and it is set 4 years after Resident Evil Village. Hogwarts Legacy sequel officially in development and will tie in with HBO's upcoming Harry Potter TV series reboot. Not sure if I like that, but, we'll see. Divinity Original Sin 2 Definitive Edition rated for PS5 and Series X and S by Peggy. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League update is out now. Brings expanded Gotham City in Season 3, Episode 6. Sega's Transmedia boss says new Virtua Fighter game is in development. Stranger Things VR arrives on December 5th. Don't Nod devs will go on strike tomorrow in response to layoffs. GTA 6 is set to release in fall of 2025, says Take-Two. GTA 5 has surpassed 205 million copies sold. The Red Dead Redemption series has sold more than 92 million copies. Take-Two says disappointing Borderlands movie benefited their catalog series. Take-Two says Borderlands 4 and GTA 6 won't be released too close to each other. Private Division sold to unknown buyer in the wake of Take-Two shuttering 2 of its studios. Kojima Productions now solely owns Death Stranding and Fizzant IPs, with Death Stranding Director's Cut coming out now on Xbox. The Sims rival Inzoi delayed till March 28th. Arcane is reportedly the most expensive animated series ever by a long shot. We now know the live-action Legend of Zelda movie will be released before the end of the decade. It looks like Blizzard will announce Warcraft 2 Remastered soon. Nintendo share price rebounds after Switch 2 backwards compatibility confirmation. And lastly, as the world waits for Nintendo to announce the Switch 2, sales of the Switch continue to plummet.
You gonna get the trading card game?
No,
I just downloaded it.
of course you did.
We'll see. We'll see how good it is. Is it as good as Marvel Snap? I don't know.
Probably not.
Probably
Because, I mean, the trading card game was hard to understand back in the day for me.
Oh, God.
So
especially with all the you got to have the energy cards and blah, 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 blah.
that's
It's like,
wild.
it's like, no, let me get my Blue Eyes White Dragon out here. You know what I mean? Like Excelsior and Omega Son and all that.
Exodia Obliterate.
Yeah. Like Kamehameha. You know what I mean? Like, let's just keep it simple over here. All right. Avada Kedavra. Yeah. Good stuff, guys. Well, that's the episode tonight. We hope that you enjoyed it. We'll be back next week where we answer the question, does Derek play video games? You'll find out next time. He doesn't, guys. He really doesn't.
I do.
No, he watches anime. That's all he does. He's a poser. Let's just be honest. He's a poser.
All right.
Yeah, he's a poser. Guys, we love y'all. Y'all have an awesome weekend. We'll see y'all Tuesday. Bye-bye.